the more you believe that the reality is real, and this is how you can learn how vicious this cycle really is. This has nothing to do with compassion in a sense. This has nothing to do with any of those mechanics. This is just how your consciousness functions, right? And I'm going to tell you a couple secrets here. I'm going to tell you about the Sentinel. I'm going to tell you about solidification. And I'm going to tell you about malleability. And let me see, Sentinel, solidification, and malleability. Okay, so what we're talking about here is that now we have all these words then that, like I explained illusion to you earlier, illusion should be governed by how much energy or wattage is incorporated into something to determine how close it is from being dense or cloud-like, okay? So that would be like another definition of illusion, but we don't have any other words. Just like I said, in that if you're trying to do this in other languages and you're trying to bring this knowledge and message, you'll find they don't have the words for what you're talking about. So English is like that too when it starts to be, when you start to try to explain some of the much more deeper things, because it leaves a person in this like, huh? I don't see how that works. And one of these is about the more energy or belief that you put into activities that go on in the matrix, the more it impairs you from being able to change in the event something doesn't go the way that you want in that activity, for you to change it, okay? So this means that the environment that's going on around you, if let's say you lose a loved one, or you lose a job that you really need, or someone betrays you, what that actually does is it solidifies more for you that the matrix that you're living in is actually real, because the experience, it tapped into a side of you that is very real, okay? And then what happens is, the more of your energy that you divert into that, when you want to change it, because it has so much power, it's now solid. And that's what I mean by solidification. And the more solid something becomes in your consciousness, you don't have the power to mold it anymore. It becomes basically like stone. So how you do this then, the technique is that when something is going on, like things are getting on your nerves and stuff is happening, keep a mindful tense if you expect to change whatever is going on, how much energy you actually give to it. And within each because that's the energy that you're going to be going against, is how much energy you are putting into it. Okay? So when you start adapting this state of mind, I mean, it gets almost to the point where it's impossible for other people, if they saw what you are capable of doing, when you start realizing the keys to these matrices and how they work. And how, like, if something goes on, like you're about to get, a job. Like somebody asked me this question the other day, and I answered it for them. I wanted to share it, but I just didn't have time yet. But it was about, they asked me why when they want to go, when they're about to get something that's going to change things for them, like let's say a new car, a new job, or this business idea, this loan, etc., then it ends up not going through. And time again, it doesn't go through. And I explained to the person, because there's different mechanics to those kind of things. One, that first you should always know that there's a diametrics or opposing field to anything that you're trying to do. That's just how the matrix works. With every action, there must be a reaction. So you want to not let that diametric force know what you're attempting to do. And you often do that by one, overexcitement. When you're overexcited, you send these frequencies out that now must be responded to. So then the Sentinel actually sends back the corresponding opposite force to whatever you're excited about. So the easiest way to get excited and to not be detected is to actually do it all within and have that calm, all-knowing peace and let it fuel that, especially before it's about to happen. And then the second thing is that, because I call that, when you get excited and everything about it, I call that eating the energy before it even arrives. It's like, you just, oh my goodness, girl, I'm going to get this car and we're going to be out, we're going to be having fun. Finally, I'm glad that my credit, I don't know how they approved it, but they did. They called me yesterday. And then, 2 weeks later, when you're like, hey, what happened to the car? Girl, did you know that they canceled my credit card? And then they found out, and then they're wondering, well, why that happened? Because you ate it already. And on top of that, here's another thing. Now, if you didn't set off the alarm, sometimes and actually more often than not, if you tell someone that has nothing to do with it, if you tell them about it, then their energy, their hypnosis egregors, and all the stuff that people have, the baggage, that's what the real baggage is. It detects it. And it's like sending its own force. Because in many times when you tell somebody that you're going to another level, don't be surprised if they're not happy about you going to that other level deep down. But on the outside, they're like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad. Like, I can't believe I'm doing way more than her. I look better than her. Why is she with him? And or the guys, I don't even understand. They should have picked me for the draft. I mean, I'm running faster. And it's so you would be surprised. But then when the guy comes up to you, oh man, I made it to you. Man, bro, you did it. So this is what's going on until humans figure out themselves and what they're doing and how they're holding themselves into these prisons. Then this will continue to go on. It's basic. You shouldn't, if you're catching feelings about it, right? And if you feel like you're upset about that, then that's because you bought into the whole thing. And that's what I mean. When you buy into it, then your currency is out there, and then now you feel like you need to get paid. And then what happens if you don't have any currency to draw from anyway, then now it's going to be on credit. So the thing is what I'm saying is, with mechanics like that about getting things accomplished, you have to know this kind of stuff if you're expected to make major things happen. Because when something major is about to happen, you just, except for people who are directly involved in it, until it manifests. Because there's diametric forces that want to prevent that from happening because they are designed to just be the opposing force to whatever you're trying to do. So you can make your yoke easy and your burden light by not doing that. This also is basically the same concept of lucid dream. When you're in a lucid dream, then you're literally doing this technique of where you don't want to grab too much onto the dream because then you'll wake up. And then on top of that, you don't want to fall too, get too relaxed because then you'll sink into the dream. You'll fall asleep. So you're kind of like riding this wave. It's the same thing in life. In your experiences, you got to just ride the wave. Because other than that, then you put too much energy into the illusion. And then when it comes time for you to change it, because it's still a morphogenic field, most people don't understand the keys to manifestation, but this is one of the major ones. When it comes time for you to change it, then you can't change it. So that's it. That's all I have for you today. It's just because this is packed with knowledge. It gives you the ability to use the key, the atomic structure, to identify the different thought forms and energies moving throughout the reality. It puts you in the know about what the Luciferian context truly is, for better or for worse, or for good or for bad, because it contains all of those components. The sheer manipulation of light and the people's consciousness that are susceptible to light, which is those who have that Orion template within their skull, which is just one part of the physical body. That's why some people say, well, I'm trying to come from the heart. I'm not using my mind anymore because those fields oftentimes are hacked. Most people's thoughts are riding across the same frequencies or hertz that their radio is on. Like people don't even connect that, when you see the radio dial 107.1, 92.5, all those popular radio stations are in most cases moving across the same hertz that your thought is. And if you don't believe that, then you just don't understand. You haven't studied, because that's how invisible conversations, which you call telephones, cellular phones, even pictures and data can get from your device, which has no visual cord, to another person's device through the air that they have no visual cord on either. How does that work? And it's because it's moving over frequencies and wavelengths. Those frequencies and wavelengths are everything. The study of manipulating frequencies and wavelengths is Luciferian. So it's not that any of this stuff, they put the big face on it, they put the dark demon on it. And the reason is because anything that they hide behind a monster, anyone who has fear will not go through this. And if they have tapped into this Halloween and they're all scared, they're going to these spooky houses and they're on these crazy rides, they're very familiar with the egregor and its fearful context. So the next time that they're triggered by something that, Freddy Krueger or whatever in their dream, then they have this disruptive state of consciousness going on that they have a hard time getting free from. So just remember where all this stuff is connected to, how you can change it, moving into your all-knowing state, beginning those practices now. It's not going to happen overnight. Don't just about how to do that, because you would be asking me to teach you how not to think. You see what I mean? So all this should come intuitively, and just remember the reason why you know it's there. Instead of you know it's there. It's not you have to think about how to get there. The reason how you know that it's there is that many people have gone into states of consciousness where they've been able to pull entire volumes of information out of nowhere. Guess what? That nowhere is around everything, and you could tap into it. Wholeness and balanced vibrations. Have an amazing time. Have an amazing infinity. I will be back with you when I can. For all those again that have been supporting and with their information, their likes, their comments, etc. Thank you so much.